next.
Speaker.
Honourable Shane Jones.
Kia ora no tātou. E noho nei roto I tō tātou whare I tēnei pō. Sir, I rise to support this particular bill. I should note the contributions the current Minister has made. The predecessor, Simon Powell, somewhere up in Westpac's parlour counting all the money. Also, Clayton Cosgrove and Leanne Dalziel. It seems so long ago since this issue first came onto the horizon. And there probably was a lot more that should have been done a lot earlier. We were constantly receiving accounts in 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008 that people were promising extraordinarily high interest rates, but there was an absence of sophistication from the owners of the savings and the providers of the capital to the various schemes of the time. So I remember saying to one or three myself, look, if someone is offering you that level of interest return, rest assured, great risk will be involved. But, sir, the machinery of the state at that time to deal with this kind of problem, i.e. sucking money in from retirees, from a host of other savers, into the various schemes that turn to custard, really has been a blight. And I know of many people who approached me in Kerikeri, for example, where there's a host of retirees who have fled from the super city up to the temperate climes of Taitokero. And, sir, they've had to sell their properties. Sir, they've had to completely downgrade the quality of their lives because what money they had disappeared into the ether. Once, if I could just focus for a moment on the finance companies, sir, they turned to custard. In fact, I recall Dover Samuels, sir,
good man,
bumping into a Mr. Patricevic one night in a restaurant in Parnell. And he approached the Mr. Patricevic and acquainted him with the fact that Dover had been an investor in one of those schemes. Sir, I think the night ended with the police almost having to be called to restrain one of those investors from Kerikeri or Matori Bay who made his point in a pretty fulsome way, as you would expect from our former colleague. So New Zealand has an investment capital deficit. We actually import so much of the money we use and recycle into mortgage housing, or we rely on international investors, for example in Christchurch. Although there's billions of dollars that the insurance industry has paid out, without a doubt, sir, a lot of dough going into Christchurch is going to be sourced internationally. So when we go, sir, and promote our credentials internationally in order to overcome this deficit, it's good that this bill contributes to the enhancement of our reputation, and that there's a regulatory framework where people can have trust, as they should, given the favoured status that we have sought and we currently enjoy in terms of OECD rankings. A stable Westminster parliamentary democracy, contract law that can be enforced, sir, in a judicial system that remains utterly independent and neutral from the executive, but hopefully with the efforts of the current Attorney General and David Parker, a judiciary that knows that the sovereignty of Parliament in our system cannot be eclipsed. That, sir, is another issue, and it's something that I know has consumed the mind, the time and the imagination of the President of the Supreme Court, but at the pith of our system, sir, this is where law is made. That is where law is interpreted, and number one, Treasury is where law is executed. That's the importance of the hierarchy. So that's one of the credentials that we should burnish. This system, sir, that allows new immigrants, Kiwi citizens, residents or overseas investors to trust that when a document is produced, what the document promises to deliver on is actually enforceable. So, sir, what we have now with the supercharged FMA authority, what we have there, sir, is no ambiguity that the organisation is empowered to make a call. They have the necessary powers of discretion to determine whether future innovations are in or out of the regime. Now, sir, I do think there should be some flexibility, and I'm glad that the Select Committee did address the importance of flexibility, because the last thing we really want to do is stunt or impede the ability of the providers of opportunity and the providers of capital to come together. But we cannot go back, sir, to the bleak times where thousands of Kiwi retirees, families and others were fleeced. In fact, some of those schemes, sir, they had a Nigerian-like quality about them. I happen to know about some of those schemes, given that I know some of the people who went to jail for putting in the money of Māori trusts into such schemes. So it is something that has swept. The member for Rotorua nods in acknowledgement. But however, sir, having done the crime, served the time, hoki mai, get on with life. That's my approach to these matters. Having said that, sir, this piece of legislation should command support from both sides of the House, because without capital, there's no ability to grow our economy. Without trust, not so much in the executives, but the quality of the document and its ability to be enforced with criminally based punitive actions. And that, sir, that will gain the attention of those who have been prepared to take a risk and suffer civil consequences, but the sobering prospect of ending up with the mongrel mob next door in the Ngāpā prison for breaking these laws, I'm quite sure, sir, will focus the mind of those folks who live in the leafy suburbs of Remuera, Kohimarama and other such places. It's not a pleasant experience to go to the Ngāpā Hinaki or prison. And I'm quite sure that those senior graduates in accountancy, finance and legal studies will get a lifetime's education in the event that they arrive there. So I'm only saddened that this didn't actually come in earlier. I'm also saddened, sir, that this wasn't around in the times where the last bout of the Wild West was acted out. But now that it is here, I think it's important, sir, that the institution implementing it have a very effective education program, because many of the professionals will certainly search for ways to circumvent it, sir. But there's an important principle. When dealing, sir, in these kinds of areas, execute figuratively 1 or 3 and educate 1,000. Rest assured, sir, once a couple of shonky characters caught under this regime go away, do a bit of time for 2 or 3 years, the others in the Wellington Club and the Auckland Club, sir, will be suitably focused on the importance of adhering to these new rules. Now, sir, it sounds a bit rough the way I describe it, but it was actually rougher for the people who lost all their dough. Rougher for the grandmothers, the grandfathers, the parents who lost the majority of their savings when they unwisely trusted on the quality, sir, of the commentary in the offer documents, or they felt they could trust the lawyers, the accountants and financial planners giving them advice. This time round, sir, they will find that trust is not an emotional concept. Trust is something once violated, you go to jail and do your time. That surely must improve the prospect of investors gathering lots more confidence and people providing opportunity for investment capital owning their own obligations. Sir, we support the bill.
Very good speech. Honourable Trevor Miller.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker, you did indicate that the next person who used one of the rating cards would be expelled from the House. Jonathan Young just did.
I did indicate that during question time yesterday, I would take a very dim view if I saw any member continuing to use those cards. Does the member want to make a contribution to this?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman. I thought I had the call. Mr. Chairman.
Honourable Trevor Miller.